So the next session will be delivered by Mr. Zhou. Please, everybody, please give him a big round of applause.
Hey, a big round of applause for Zhou. Zhou is wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, hello and welcome to the day 2, the innovation stage. We start at 11 o'clock and we're going to have 2 panels in the morning and 1 panel in the afternoon. I'm Joe Haslam, Professor of Entrepreneurship at IE Business School. And I'm going to have a dual role today. In other words, I'm going to start in the first by moderating a panel with my friends Lucia and Mateo. And then afterwards, we're going to have another panel with an IE professor, Jeff Char, and Anik from the IE Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center. So really looking forward to both of these panels. We have a half an hour, which is nice to have. Very often, you only get 15 minutes. And there's really no time to get into everything. So on that basis, really looking forward to the panels, and I hope that you'll stay with us for both of the sessions, which will be super interesting. So if I could call Lucia and Mateo on stage, please, if you could come on stage, both of you. And is that music ours? Oh, it is ours. Okay, that's really cool. Okay, adelante, come on. So you can sit whatever. Maybe Lucia, you sit closest to me, and then Mateo, you can, for color coordination, we'll have the guy in black can sit in the farthest distance. Okay. So good morning to both of you. Good morning, Lucia.
Morning.
Just do a quick mic check, make sure everything is good. Yeah.
All good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Morning.
speaking. Okay.
Yeah, it does work.
Perfect. No, very good. Okay. So thanks to both of you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here. So the title of the panel this morning is Entrepreneurship from Passion to Purpose. So I always start by asking for a quick introduction. Don't go into too much detail, just more or less what you're working on right now. Lucia, maybe you go first.
Thanks very much, Joe, and thank you very much to the organization for inviting us. I'm currently a leader of the Global College, which is a newly started college, only 3 years old, focused on entrepreneurship education. So we teach students 15 to 18-year-old the normal IB curriculum, so they can get a very premium, high-standard certification to get into top universities around the world. But the particular thing, on top of studying maths, physics, languages, humanities, etc., is they must carry out an entrepreneurship project while they're with us. In fact, it is something they have even before they enter us. They know they are highly valued for their entrepreneurship skills, and many of them in the applications process, and I'm meaning when they are 14, 15 years old, they already have carried out entrepreneurship projects. Many of them have their own enterprises already. So a few years earlier than Mateo, who is very young, as you see, can find a place in the world. It's an international school. So we have people from 36 nationalities where they learn entrepreneurship-based education in Madrid.
Okay, fantastic. Mateo, just a brief introduction as well.
Lovely. Sure. Thank you both. And of course, thanks South Summit for inviting me here once again after Porto Alegre, Madrid, here joining the first edition of South Summit, South Korea. So really happy to be here. My name is Mateo. I'm from Argentina. I'm 25 years. I look like 15, but I'm 25. I know. I'm 25 years old, and I run a company called Asteroid that I co-founded when I was 18, 7 years ago, that develops software for communication disabled people. So we help almost 500,000 communication disabled people worldwide in 75 countries, absolutely for free. So we develop the software, give it away for free. And then using that same base of technology and knowledge from the users, we adapt that softwares to the customer journey of companies, right? As banks, retails, fast food companies, etc., to give them a tool to better communicate with their disabled customers or to-be customers, right? So yeah, we are 30 in the company, based in Argentina, but now with operations in Chile, Uruguay, Mexico, El Salvador, Spain, hopefully South Korea soon. But yeah, growing locally and focusing a lot on, creating a new standard on how companies provide services to communication disabled people that represent a huge chunk of the population. So, yeah. that's kind of it.
Okay, great. You know, don't give a microphone to an Argentinian early in
No.
the morning. No, we'll never get it back, right? But anyway, so maybe Lucia, I want to continue with the theme that was Diego, CEO of IE University, and Eric were on stage yesterday, and we were both there listening to them. And they were talking about one of the big questions of entrepreneurship, something relevant to educators everywhere, which is, can entrepreneurship be taught, or is it something that you must have innately? So what are you seeing among the students of the Global College?
Okay, we are teaching students who are very much entrepreneurs themselves. They are attracted by an entrepreneurship school. But I think both things can happen. We're not so interested in having, it's not our aim or ambition to have every single student of our school setting up their own startup. We are interested in them thinking as entrepreneurs, because these is a way of thinking, is a way of acting that is there in every aspect of life in society.
Yeah.
Whether you work in a big corporation, whether you work in public service, in your social life, having this entrepreneurship mindset and skills is going to make the difference. It's going to make you think of where there's problems that have to be solved, how to focus on the problem, how to propose solutions, how to find teams for the solution, how to test if there's a market for your solution and adapt rapidly what doesn't work, how to iterate your business model, etc. So that way of thinking and to carry out projects is essential for every aspect of life and society. Also, how to overcome risk, how to overcome things that don't go so well. That is what is essential. And you can apply it to a big corporation, to public service, to everywhere you are in life. So having an entrepreneurial mindset is what is key in our school. And I can tell you that every student finishing our school has it. Many of them, of course, found their own startups. Many of them close them because they're, startups under the mindset of a 15, 16-year-old and don't go well, but they have a biggest idea to carry out. Yeah. So I think that's very interesting. I think it's what normally we don't find as a schools, where there's a fear to fail, where normally the exam-based or the assessment you find at standard schools, allows you to give only one solution and not out-of-the-box thinking or putting that strong imagination into projects or into courses. And that is why, on the opposite, we value at the Global College. So I think it's many people are born entrepreneurs, but many people learn as they move forward to be entrepreneurs and very successful entrepreneurs.
I think what's really interesting is that some well-known entrepreneurs, including founders of unicorn companies, send their children to the Global College. I mean, that's entrepreneurs are notoriously choosy about where they pick. So it must be gratifying. It must be something that is very pleasing that they have decided to send their kids there.
Yeah. We have many entrepreneurs themselves that have gone through standard schools and suddenly find at different schools where students have a freedom and are pushed to carry out projects in teams. We also do teams. And it's fantastic. And the way the entrepreneurs conform the teams is amazing. We have a very strong computer science department. It's not very usual that schools teach computer science at a very high level, very seriously. So that allows our entrepreneurship teams to all have a techie in the team, which is very, very important. Many of the projects, we have 26 teams working now in projects, and I would say 85 of the projects have a technology based in them. And that's why the combination of different students with different knowledges and different expertises can combine in the project. So it's amazing. It's 300 students already, and from 15 to 16-year-olds, so only that stage. And well, everyone is welcome to come and speak and share. It's very usual in our school to bring out entrepreneurs, successful startup founders. You are already invited, Mateo. You gotta come.
I'd love to. Count me in.
Thank you.
So maybe Mateo, move on to ask you. I mean, when did entrepreneurs often talk about an aha moment, a moment where they decided, like, okay, I'm not going to follow the path of, I mean, in my own case, I had 3 degrees, university degrees, before I started to think about what I was going to do. When did you know that, okay, you're not going to take the path, university, masters, whatever, and that what you were going to do at the quite young age, because 25 minus 7 is 18, so you took a decision at 18 to set up a company. Talk to us about like when you decided that was what you wanted to do.
Sure. I think it's a cool story because it was an absolute coincidence. So, that lots of people always go like, yeah, I always wanted to have a technology company that develops cool software, etc. In my case, I was more of a technical guy, right? So I always studied electronics, software, coding, technology itself, but like on the technical side, not on the business part, not on the idea of building a business, right? So I started in high school, and at the same time I was a big technology fan. I always lived with a different reality, which is my mom has been a teacher for kids with disabilities for the past 37 years.
Okay.
So I grew up surrounded with lots of friends, right, and people I know, with these kinds of disabilities. So I grew up watching those people my age suffer to do things that for me and for probably all of us are just daily stuff. So no problem. I don't know, listening to this panel, for example.
Yeah.
But more important things like, I don't know, going to a doctor or, I don't know, reporting a crime, things that you should be able to do easily, all of these people couldn't. So I just wondered, like I asked myself, hey, how could I never think of developing something, like using what I like, technology, to try and help my mom's students or to give them a tool so they can have at least a little bit better life quality, right? Mm-hmm. So thus I started developing this mobile app that I thought of. I had no idea how to develop mobile apps. So I went, how do you code a mobile app? On YouTube. And I watched lots of tutorials by a few guys that just taught you how to build an app. Yeah. And that's how the first version of Háblalo, the app that gave birth to the company, to Asteroid, was born. But I didn't think of it as a company, as being an entrepreneur, right? I just wanted to develop a piece of code that could help someone. Then when organically, without any kind of promotion or ads or anything like, the app surpassed 20,000 users in 2017, I said, okay, absolutely, this is needed by someone, at least by a piece of the population. So the idea is correct, so I should follow, right? Then I adapted my studies. Like I didn't do like the conventional path, right? So I have like I don't know the English for this, but like a middle degree, not a university degree. We have that in Argentina. Then I ended up doing a master, but that's a long story. But I decided that I had to take my chances on building something around this. And that was like the moment when we surpassed 20,000 users, I said, okay, absolutely I have to leave other stuff that I'm trying to do or focus on this and do it professionally. Because if we focus on this, we can get to 500,000 where we are now, right? But yeah, that was kind of I don't think if I can recall of an exact eureka moment. I don't know if that exists, actually. It never happened to me. But it was like a series of months where it started growing on me, the idea of, okay, I need to focus and work on this, absolutely. Yeah, here we are.
Sure.
Now, my dream was to be an aerospace engineer when I was a little kid.
To be
I'm not
a nurse, yeah?
Aerospace engineer.
Ah, okay, wow.
So, and that didn't happen, and I ran a company of social technology. So,
okay.
no,
You might
just follow life where it leads you. That's
you might get there yet.
You can buy your own rocket when you become successful.
Yeah, everyone seems to be building rockets these days.
It's
You know,
the coolest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the space is getting very crowded. You know, there's. Lucia, can I ask you? Do you find entrepreneurs to be interesting people? I mean, you know, it's always a question. You've done a lot of wide variety of things in your life, and you've you've met a lot of people. I mean, do you find that entrepreneurs are generally interesting people and they have a spirit of optimism and they're like looking to the future rather than the past?
Yeah, I find of course, entrepreneurs interesting people. Entrepreneurs normally come from highly innovative, if not disruptive ideas. So the way of seeing things, lives in society, markets, is different as the rest of us do. They see the gaps, and it's because they see gaps in the user experience, and they see gaps in the price fixing, they see gaps in many things, they propose different things. So the way of looking at things is different. I might say when we find entrepreneurs, so here's entrepreneurs speaking about the life, the solutions with passion and with grit is always amazing. I must say, I don't know if it's your moment, that there's a moment that in the life of entrepreneur, they can only speak about one thing. Such is the focus. Such is the focus. Yeah. That is very difficult to get them to speak about any other thing than their company, their solution, the market, how they envision things. Because they're so focused and so engaged, and they live 24/7 for that specific project or initiative, that it's non-stop. But of course, the different people, very interesting as they see things in a way the rest don't see. And that's why they come up with these amazing solutions that change our lives.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that non-entrepreneurs find difficult about serial entrepreneurs, that they create a company and they sell it, and they have loads of money, and people sort of think, well, then you're going to just like live on a beach or something, and they're like, that's not why they did it in the first place, and they're almost, thinking almost immediately about, now I've got money, I can start something else, and because that's, as you say, that's all they know, and they feel most comfortable in the trenches, driving things forward, and it's not about the money, it's about like doing, bringing something into the world. So most entrepreneurs that I know, it doesn't occur to them to retire. I mean, they're like, this is the craziest thing in the world, Bueno, Mateo, can I ask you just about your age? Because there is this thing that they say that the best age to found a company is 45, which you're like very far away from. So like, what's the perception of in terms of everything from getting employees to getting investors to, partnerships? You just rock up in a denim jacket, and you're like, who is this guy,
I think that's a great question, Joe, because I think it's this kind of thing that's a blessing and a curse at the same time, Because, of course, I think, well, first of all, I hear what Lucia is saying, and I absolutely agree. On that time when I'm having that time for the past 7 years, but like you cannot speak of something else. Like, I think when that strikes you on, there's a really good book by Yuri Levin that was actually on South Summit, Madrid.
Yeah.
He says, fall in love with the problem, not the solution, right?
Yeah.
When you fall in love with a problem and you just would do anything to solve it, that's the time when I think you should start your business or your venture or whatever it is to solve that problem. Whenever it is in your life, it doesn't have to be when you're young, when you're 45, when you're 50, when you're 30, whenever it is that strikes you, I think that you should go pursue, because that's the moment when you have all the energy, the resilience, all the effort in you that's needed to build a company. We are used to talking about entrepreneurship like on a really cool, fancy kind of thing, which it is. It is cool. I love my job. But it's so challenging. Like, we do not see all the time how difficult it is. Like, nights of no sleep, or no Fridays, no Saturdays, no holidays, no nothing. I don't remember when was the last time that I went on a proper vacation, like without my computer, which is not healthy. I'm not saying it as a good thing. It is a good thing for your venture, maybe not for your health, but I think whenever that strikes you is the great moment to start. In my particular case, as I was saying before, it was a blessing and a curse, because when you were so young, maybe 17, 18, I live with my parents. So I didn't have any investors because no one wanted to invest on accessibility. It's still difficult to find VCs that invest in accessibility, but it's a little bit easier through the years.
Yeah.
2016, it was, at least in Latin America, was impossible.
I mean, Matteo, in a way, you're a social entrepreneur. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it was really, really hard. So that gave me the chance of starting two jobs, full-time job and one at-home job, and use all that money, as I live with my parents and I didn't have any spendings, I used all that money and put it on the company, right? Yeah. So that was a good thing. Also, time, the energy you have when you're 18, you're not afraid of making mistakes, you just go forward and you're not ashamed, you know? Yeah. So you just ask for favors, go meet people, knock on doors, that's like what you have to do. But at the same time, lots of people don't take you that seriously. Yeah. Because you look like a guy from a kindergarten. I look 15 and I'm 25, so imagine what I looked like when I was 17. So that was pretty hard. Like being taken seriously, it took quite a few years.
No, it's something that I teach in my classes, you know, how to get yourself taken seriously.
Yeah.
It's really important.
It's hard.
You know, it's an incredible frustration when people are in meetings and they say something and no one hears them.
Exactly.
You know, it's an incredible frustration. And then somebody else says it and they say, oh, that's brilliant, let's do that.
Absolutely.
And the person is like, I've said it 4 times and nobody said it. And, you know, it's an incredible frustration that, you know, either you learn to communicate and be effective or other people will just steal your ideas.
Absolutely.
And that's extremely frustrating. And I have people in my executive programs and they tell me that, like, they basically do all the work of the CEO of their company. They prepare the reports and then the CEO reads them out. But there's a frustration that they can never be the CEO because they don't have, their words don't carry weight, you know, when they're talking to investors or something. Right. And they speak to me a lot about, like, how do you make impact, you know, with people.
And it's not easy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not easy. And I, you know, some people sort of have it, but you know, I think you can always get better. Some people, it perhaps comes to them easier, but you can always get better, and we try and do that. I want to move on because we have 10 minutes left, and those green digits will start to count down very soon. Lucia, something I'm interested in. I've visited a lot of IB schools, you know, promoting iUniversity in you know, Buenos Aires and you know, different parts of the world. And one thing I see a lot are like the millennial development goals on the wall and things like that. So what kind of things are 16-year-olds, kids, I guess you call them, interested in? Are they interested in things like climate change? Are they interested, or, you know, do a lot of them still want to, you know, do other things? I mean, when you talk about, you know, we live in a world that, you've access to a lot of information. So people, are they interested in more kind of sustainability, social entrepreneurship, climate change, those kind of things? Or perhaps are they interested in other things, just like making money?
Well, there's a lot of projects, but we have been surprised because a huge amount of the projects after 3 cohorts. So we've seen 70 projects in our school are related to health issues, be it helping students with dyslexia, TDAH, tools to not procrastinate and be more efficient in learning, help for, I don't know, girls with nutrition disorders, connecting people with the same problem, helping adult families, you know, cope with some disabilities, helping. So health, I would say, comes naturally as a topic in which they propose many ideas and projects, normally with a tech solution, with a tech-based solution, even if it's just to put in contact A and B, you know. So that's one thing. But the amazing thing, and I think the IB, the International Baccalaureate, provides is, I think Diego or Eric was saying yesterday, standard schools, you know, you teach a few courses in silos. In the IB, you have to opt for a humanities course and a sciences course. You have to pick math. There's 4 levels of math, but you have to pick math, you have to pick a science, you have to pick art, so you have to pick one second language. So it's a program that seeks multidisciplinarity in the students. And I think that is a correct approach because innovation and creativity and complex problem solving come very often and very significantly, not just from having a strong imagination or out-of-the-box thinking. They come very often from the ability to connect different fields of knowledge. So you won't find an innovative, a creative solution just being an expert in just one thing.
Yeah.
Like businesses, organizations, problems are not, a math problem, a biology problem. They're normally mixed. They are connected. And this ability to connect different fields of knowledge and see the touching points, I think gives a great advantage to the people that are today our students, but tomorrow are going to be entrepreneurs or be at they're working in organizations or in the public service. And I think it's an ability that our students have, and I don't know what you think about it, Mateo, but it's very useful.
Innovation is connecting the unconnected. That's the best definition of it. It's not creating anything new. Many solutions are bringing things that already exist rather than pure science. And it is true. That's one of the reasons why older entrepreneurs tend to be successful, because they bring, as you have in your own career, you bring things from different areas that sort of come together in a perfect way. And I had a good friend of mine who's also a professor in IE. He's had a very different career, and now he has the job that's literally brought all of the different pieces together, working in different countries on different technologies into the perfect thing. So, that's a really interesting thing when that happens, because you can bring different disciplines. I wanted to ask you just about being a CEO, Mateo, because it's interesting. We have a new CEO in South Summit, Nacho Mateo, and I was talking to him yesterday about, like, Nacho, you're the CEO now. You can't be, going around picking up newspapers and things. Like, you have to be like, walking around like a CEO. Don't walk into any room that you don't know who's already in there. And it was interesting. So I'm just thinking, are you conscious of being like a CEO, and that decisions you make and the things you do affect the rest of the company?
I think that's a good question. First of all, maybe it's easy to draw the line on a corporate or a big company CEO and a startup CEO. It's way different. But yeah, your responsibility with your team is the same, but responsibilities in general, or that you were saying.
What I'd say to you is, like, very much your mood can affect the rest of the company.
Yeah, absolutely.
You forsake the right to look angry or frustrated, because that affects the rest. You're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What happened?
Absolutely.
You have, like, I coach a lot of CEOs, and I tell them that, okay, when something happens, you can't show it because it affects the rest of the team. So I'm wondering whether have you had coaching about it? Have you read books about other CEOs? How are you learning to be a CEO?
Yeah. No coaching, but yeah, lots of books and trying to learn from other people. I think you nailed the most difficult part of that, which is, like, setting your feelings or your reactions aside for the best of the team, right? Like, always giving your best, always waking up. And I always say that if you lead the team, you have to be the guy that works the most. Like, you have to always be working.
What's the size of your team now, Nacho?
We are 30.
30. Wow.
So it's not huge, but
Yeah.
it's starting to be a lot of people.
But most companies never make it over 10 people, Mateo.
Yeah.
It's big. 30 is a lot. Yeah.
It's been hard to get here, but we are still growing, probably going to grow quite a lot for next year too. But yeah, I think for me, you also have regarding your last question, an added challenge, which is most people I lead are older than me, which is also, I think, at least this is my take, there's a different kind of leadership. I always try to build a pretty horizontal kind of leadership, not give orders, ask questions to find the answers that I'd love to find. So I always try to go that way. Try to respect a lot the opinions of, like, try to get opinions of everyone. Have everyone, at least at this size of the company, still everyone can give their opinions on different decisions. And then I think that's quite important, like listening to lots of people, but then having the ability of choosing which path to follow. That's kind of the hardest, but the most important ability in the role of leading.
I have to say, I worry a lot when I hear you about like consensus leadership, because there's no such thing as consensus leadership. I mean, your CEO has to be, every organization has to have a boss, and a boss's decisions have to stick. Consensus is all very well, and you can say that. I always say, like, you can say that in public, but I hope in private you're not like that.
No.
You have to be decisive.
You can be both. Actually,
Yeah.
I am absolutely decisive. So when I make a decision, it doesn't move. So, but in my place, when you're leading 45-year-old engineers, you have to listen to those guys. You cannot just make decisions on your own and just like, yeah, we'll go this way regarding software, because it doesn't make any sense. You have to listen, like, what do they think and what are the options, and then prioritize what's best for the entire strategy of the company, right? Or the long term that maybe I see. But then, yeah, I agree absolutely with Joe. When you lead a team, you have to be really decisive. Try not to leave lots of blank spaces and just lead the team on following the path you want them to follow.
I've had many conversations with startup founders, and I'm like, stop this funny stuff. Like, you need to like focus, make decisions, and execute. And that. Welcome to being a CEO. We're almost out of time, Lucia, but I did want to give you an opportunity just to talk about the future. What's on the horizon for the Global College? What kind of things are coming up? Where do you see yourself in a number of years?
Well, we are having less students that we would want, because we have hundreds of people applying, so that's a good thing. That means we've hit something that families were looking for, which is a different kind of education for 15 to 18-year-olders. And of course, we have to grow. It's if you don't grow, you go back. So it's a challenge to find the correct place to grow and the correct project. But we have plans for growth. And hopefully, in next year, we're going to announce a very big operation to growth, to multiply by 4, by 5 times the operations of the Global College. So looking forward to that and having more and more successful and very talented student entrepreneurs.
Okay, fantastic. And finally, Mateo, what's the future for Asteroid Technologies? Global domination, I guess, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the short answer. The long answer would be growing quite huge in different markets, focusing a lot in Europe right now, because the European Accessibility Act is coming into rule next year, so lots of companies have to invest on things that we do. Use the investment that we received this year and all these opportunities, like business opportunities in Europe or North America, Latin America, to keep investing on better software. Of course, AI, we're working on that, and Gen AI and different stuff for accessibility. That's our goal, yeah.
Okay. So I always like to finish by congratulating both of you. Lucia, congratulations for all of you've done in the Global College. It's every project is a challenge, and you've made it a tremendous success, so you should feel good about yourself, all that you've done, even though you're looking to the future. And also, Mateo, just to congratulate you on being an entrepreneur. The world needs entrepreneurs, people with disabilities, no doubt welcome the things that you brought into the world. So
Thank you.
I always think it's worth a small moment to just feel a bit good about yourself and the things you've done before you inevitably open your email and have a whole series of problems.
Absolutely.
So with that, I want to bring the panel to the close. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Joe Haslam, Professor of Entrepreneurship, and I hope you'll stay for the next panel with Anik. Thank you to Lucia, and thank you to Mateo.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so if you guys can walk off, I have to go and do my other